Hello everyone, my name's Ian Carruthers. As IPSASB Chair, I'm delighted to be able to join you for this event, although sadly it's a pre-recorded video because IPSASB is meeting in New York this week. Talking to you about this topic is really special to me because I spent 10 years at the UK Treasury during the transition to accrual accounting and budgeting, particularly leading its whole of government accounts program. So I'm really delighted to be able to share my experiences, partly from a practical point of view, but also as IPSASB Chair from the board point of view. So in terms of sharing my experiences in implementing accrual accounting, I want to partly focus on the why are we doing this, which obviously impacts then on how you do it, and also to share some practical resources that are available to help you on your journey. So why accrual reporting? And I think it's really important that this is not just about reporting, it's about stronger public financial management. And that comes back to the reasons that governments exist, to by collective agreement. And basically the success of government really depends on trust, both trust in terms of the population, but also trust externally. And if you don't have that trust, if you have poor public financial management, there's a cycle that starts to work through. So, if resources aren't managed well, you get waste. It also enables fraud and corruption. That then starts to chip away at the confidence in terms of government, which reduces the government's ability to collect taxes, and then that has an adverse impact on services, and then you get further waste and so on, and so the circle continues. And it's not just about that impact being within government. That also impacts on the ability of the economy to function because of the support that it receives from governments. And similarly as well, investors are less inclined to buy government bonds, charge more for it, and so on. So a vicious circle. And really, accrual-based reporting is a foundation in terms of strong public financial management, and it needs to be seen in that context. So what do I mean by public financial management? Well, it's a system. It's a system by which financial resources are planned, directed, and controlled, really to provide efficient and effective achievement of public service outcomes. So it's what government actually delivers and how that actually supports the rest of the economy. And I've highlighted a couple of key areas in this model, which is available on the Pathways to Accrual web portal provided by IFAC, and there's a QR code in the next slide. Fundamentally, though, accrual-based information, the substance of what government owns, what it owes, what it's doing with money, that's at the center of all of this. And it's really important that that substance is reported on a consistent and comparable basis. So that means international standards. And it also means strong accountability to stakeholder and independent public audit. All of those elements are really important alongside the other elements of the whole system. So it's not really that improving any one of those parts will improve PFM on its own. They have to operate as a system. And it's also about how public money is spent in terms of the governance of organisations. So that's really important. You need strong PFM for good governance, and you need good governance for strong PFM. So I've given you the QR code here to the IFAC guidance, both the international framework for good governance in the public sector and the whole system approach to PFM. And there's a lot of very helpful material on the Pathways to Accrual website. So please go and visit that, have a look at that. It's not just standards based, there's also very good practical implementation guidance there. So in terms of what's going on around the world, well, there is a very strong upward trend in terms of the use of accrual information in governments. The International Public Sector Financial Accountability Index has now been published twice, and you can see that the last set of figures were for 2020, where 30% of governments were on accrual, with the others either on cash or on partial accrual. That's forecast to change for next year, for the end of next year, 2025, with the numbers on accrual up to 50% around the world, and then that strong upward trend by the end of the decade. One of the things that I would like to highlight now is that it's really important that we have good information on what's going on in your jurisdictions. So there's an update going on at the moment. Please do get in contact with us. We need your information, and there's a unique passcode for your country that you need to obtain from the IPSASB team. So the slide here gives you the contact email at IPSASB. Please do get in contact with us, and then we can present that updated picture later on in 2024. Also, I think one of the very strong learning points is that you need a combination of actors to deliver change. It is about a change program accrual implementation. And so very commonly it centers on governments, both in terms of advocating adoption, but also then in terms of supporting implementation. But there are other parties that need to be involved: professional accountancy organizations, consultants and contractors who can both advocate and support implementation. The Supreme Audit Institution is really important, and then regional and international organizations like Asia Development Bank, and in particular World Bank. And the PEMNA network being a very good example of one of those regional networks that can provide peer support and learning. And those groups actually operate in different ways throughout the accrual implementation period, but it's really important that they are all involved, because they can all play their part in supporting successful implementation of accrual. Now, I said I would show you some resources. Probably the principal source of advice and guidance, which brings a lot of material together, both in terms of explaining concepts and also providing links to other relevant publications, is the IFAC Pathways to Accrual web portal. And this is free to air. You can access it through the QR code on this slide. It gives you not only the context, but also detailed information down to the implementation of individual standards. Capacity development is one of the very important enablers of success in terms of accrual implementation, and that's where IFAC has also provided train the trainer material. Again, you can access that through the QR code here. That's available not only in English but also in French and Spanish. And then finally, a shout out for something that will, we hope, be coming very soon, which is what we're calling Navigating IPSAS. And this really reflects or is intended to reflect the range of different sizes and complexities of organizations comprising the public sector around the world. Very often we get told, well, you've got 3 massive volumes of guidance. That's very intimidating. It's very impractical for smaller organizations that only have relatively few sources of income and provide services locally. And so the idea is that the Navigating IPSAS tool will give you a way of actually tailoring, if you like, the IPSAS guidance, so that you only have to apply what's relevant in terms of the activities and the complexity of the organization. That is due to start fairly soon. If you want to find out more about the background and the reasons why we're moving to developing that tool, please access the board's feedback statement through the QR code on this slide. So bringing it back to, well, there's a lot of work involved in the implementation of accrual, but why do this in the first place? And it does really, one of the fundamental features is the enhanced financial credibility that you get through governments actually applying a set of international standards which have been independently developed and which address the needs of the public sector specifically, because that provides that independently set reference points, so that you know that if you have a set of reports prepared under that, that they are credible, and that the guidance hasn't been manipulated in order to provide a particular picture of performance. That provides increased transparency over what the government's done, what it owns, what it owes, and that will promote trust, not only within the jurisdiction in terms of those who pay taxes and those who provide services. So that's part of a stronger PFM network or system within the country, but also in terms of the government raising money from the capital markets, preparing accounts under a comparable international basis will actually reduce the funding costs by providing certainty, particularly over the liabilities, guarantees, contingent liabilities that a government is exposed to. And that international comparability is really important, as well as the stronger public financial management that comes from implementing accrual reporting. So, with that, thank you very much for listening to my presentation. I hope that's actually given you both, if you like, the bigger perspective in terms of implementing accrual. It's also given you access to some of the guidance which will help you address some of the undoubted challenges that there are in implementing accrual, but also gives you set against those challenges what the bigger prize is in terms of stronger public financial management and the overall benefits that you gain from using recognized international standards and really being clear and transparent about the nature of the government's finances. Thank you very much for listening. I hope that the rest of your event is successful, and very much look forward to hearing about that. Thank you.